Welcome back to BaldHeaded Metal, guys, and welcome back to another reaction. This time around is to a band called Abysmal Dawn with their EP Nightmare Frontier, which will be coming out on February 4th. Now, I don't know anything about this band. I kind of stumbled upon it as I'm trying to find new things to kind of discover and review and find out what they're all about. I'm a big fan of death metal, so as soon as I saw that, I just kind of jumped into it, completely blind and not knowing what I'm getting myself into. And what I got myself into is a modern death metal band coming from California. It's been around for a while, I believe. They've had 4 albums before, and this kind of EP is a way back to kind of reintroduce some of their material. The EP itself is only 4 songs. It is short and sweet, but every single song is actually quite good, with one of them being a cover of In Flames' song Behind Space. At first, when I heard that song, I heard the similarity. I'm like, wait a minute, that sounds like In Flames. But it took me a couple seconds to realize, I'm like, wait a minute, it's a cover of In Flames song, but done in their style music. And they're very similar to a band like Aborted, for anybody who's a fan of that. It has this kind of brutal death metal core, and it does introduce more melodic moments and more riffy, interesting kind of leads. It's not just old school death metal where they just go for the jugular right away. It has variety in it, and that's kind of what I liked about the EP. I kind of listened through it a couple of times, and every single time I listened to it, I quite enjoyed it. It even has surprises in songs. I'm like, okay, death metal, I'm gonna get my brutal vocals. That's what I'm expecting. It's the expected, right? Listen to the last song in this EP called Bewitched, and the vocalist sings, and I was not expecting that. And actually, it's actually quite nice. It matches quite well. It doesn't have the same production of Aborted, because I thought, when I reviewed Mania Cult, what was it, a couple of months ago, the production on that album was absolutely phenomenal. It looks like either this band, they're coming back up into the spotlight, and they might not be known as some of the other bigger death metal bands, but just by checking this out, I'm quite interested already in their discography and what they have to offer. There's so many bands out there that we never hear of because they either released at the same time with some other bigger band, they're just a smaller band that never really garnered that kind of attention, or there's other things in their way, but it doesn't discredit them or make them any less of. And I feel this is actually the case with Abysmal Dawn. There's quite good music here. It's not gonna shatter your brain and explode everything that you've ever expected from death metal. It's not genre defining like something like Gojira or something, but there's good heavy metal and good music and heart and soul in the music that I think is worth checking out. And I think all the songs, Nightmare Slain, Blackened Sky, again, the cover Behind Space, and Bewitched, are all great songs and all different in all kind of way. The EP itself, you can check it out when it comes out on Friday in various platforms, I'm sure, like Spotify, YouTube Music. I highly recommend for you to check it out, especially if you're looking for something that's a little bit different and you perhaps want to just get away from the main focus of what you see when it comes to heavy metal and you want to go to the periphery. I have that happen to me a lot. There's so many bands there people never hear. Melakesh, another black metal band with Sumerian roots that has these kind of melodic Sumerian elements. Most people don't know this band because I think they become too niche, or there's just so much music being released, we can't possibly grab onto everything. So my hope is that perhaps me spotlighting it for 5 minutes and talking about it, it's worthy of your time to kind of jump into it. Now, I don't gain anything from you guys checking it out. I think it's just a good band to check out. They have the right stuff, in my opinion. And you guys see me being very critical on this channel, who watches my reactions, who watches me do various kinds of interviews and everything that I do. I'm a quite critical person. I don't just take in things left and right. So I think this has something interesting. I want to see what all the albums are going to be like. So maybe from the fans who came to check out the review, if it's good or not, you can kind of school me on that and kind of let me know where I should jump into and what album I should start with. But based on what I heard here, I think I'm in for something that's interesting. And especially in death metal, we get a lot of melodic death metal now, right? We get a lot of this fusion now. It's hard to get a more old school sound to death metal, and they definitely have that. Of course, like I said, with some modern elements in there. I think they found a good balance of these elements. With that being said, I want to hear from you guys as well when you get to check out this EP, and if you're going to check out this EP, kind of what you think of it. If you're a fan of this band, I would love to hear from you as well. If you've been kind of following them, what is it about this band that you really love? For example, I like just a really nice mixture of aggression and melodic sound that has the old school death metal sound, but it also brings in, again, not to use the same example, something that Aborted does very well, that melodicness to the music of death metal without stepping into something like Arch Enemy or Be'lakor. Guys, I'm going to leave it at that. This review is pretty short as the EP itself, but I feel like this kind of quick get my thoughts out as quickly as I can so you guys know what place I'm coming from is the best kind of way for doing reviews. There's no point for me to talk about 15 minutes rehashing and repeating myself. I'm not a musician. I talk about music more from an emotional place and how it makes me feel and the things that I gravitate towards. You won't ever see me really break down riffs or break down certain solos, which this album does have lots of interesting riffs and solos, but it just gave me the right feels. It's like when Massacre came out with their kind of resurgence album. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. In the same kind of way, I got that feeling of this band coming back from the fire, despite the fact that they had an album in 2020. It's just a band, again, that's not as known to others as some other death metal bands in the genre. Guys, let's hear from you and see what you got to say about it, and make sure to enjoy the rest of your day. Stay safe out there and keep it metal.